Whew. Hey campers, back in the workshop, the shed, the teeny tiny place, the sauna. Just saying. I got to get rid of all this before I can do anything. I really need to work on these things. It's one of those days. It's another dicey day. So, let's see what the dice say. Two. Whittling, and whatnot. You know, I think my dice are fixed. Oh well. Maybe I should make a new dice. More balanced. Oh. 5. Make something from a knife. Let's see what that says. What's on the list? Oh. Yeah, unfortunately all I have to modify is my big Higo and a couple of Opinels. Let's do an Opinel. I've done a Warrenclyffe. Yeah. American Tanto. That's what we'll do. Change my dice. Or maybe I should make another one and do a double dice. It'll give me more options. Okay, had to run up to the cottage and I got me an Opinel. I have, this is a number 9 carbon. I bought these because I was thinking about doing just a playlist series of mods that I've done to Opinels. My thought in my mind was to do all these blade shapes. There's a lot of them. Work through them when the dice tells me to, which apparently is pretty common. That's why I got to fix my dice. But we got the number 9. Everybody familiar with Opinel? You can see it there. It is the carbon, and it's your normal number 9. We're all familiar with that. So I have to make a Tanto blade. There's the Japanese. Ooh. We're going to do an American Tanto. If you're not familiar with that, you will be when I'm done. Hopefully. The Japanese one doesn't have that definite angle to it. It's a little bit more subtle that way. The American Tanto has a very definite angle on it. And it's a straight blade, and we have to modify the handle as well, which is going to be a challenge. There's not a lot you can do with the handles. I mean, you can make patterns on them, but the shape, it's got to kind of suit the blade, so keep that in mind. Let me work on that blade. Wow, that's going to be a problem. Hopefully you can see this. There's the Tanto shape. The problem is here. I can't take too much off there because that's part of the locking on the blade. It's like the stop right there. So I'll probably have to come down a little bit and then go straight across. It is the edge at the top, your spine, is actually straight. So, and then you have that angle back. I really don't like using power tools. The problem I have is cutting the blades. I have a Dremel. I'm going to have to use that if it doesn't work. But I'm not going to show you that because, you know what, that's cheating. Just saying. So it looks like we have to cheat. I'm going to run up to the cottage and cut it. Okay, the horror, I've done it. I really do not like doing that with the Dremel. Couple of reasons is you got to be careful. When you cut this blade, you don't want to overheat it, because if you do, it's just going to destroy it. I got to file it into the shape that I want. Okay, now I've got the basic blade shape. The hardest part of this whole project is going to be shaping the edge and getting it sharp with a fine point right here. The Opinel is a flat grind. You can see it there. This is not really a flat grind because it's going to have an edge to it, but I'm going to have to make it match as close as I can. Typically a Tanto doesn't have a flat grind. It has an edge to it, but I don't want to mess with this. See the top there? You've got that bend in the Opinel. I've got to flatten that out to make this a truer Tanto, because a Tanto doesn't curve that way. The curve is that way. But I can make it flat. Now I have the final shape that I want. It's all straight. I was going to curve it a little bit, but I want that nail nick to get the blade out. We all know the issues with Opinel, so I want to keep that nail nick, and to go any deeper I'm going to get into the nail nick, and I want to leave that there. And of course, you know, I always like to leave all their information on there. So there's the basic blade. All that's left for me to do now is clean this up, sharpen this edge, sharpen this, and get that fine point here, which is what I need. And well, we all know my sharpening abilities, so that's really my biggest challenge. Something I didn't check is how it sits in the handle. Worried about that tip. Yeah, that's what I thought. Look at that. The tip is right there. That's a problem. What do we do there? How do we change that? Let's work on the handle now. So the handle, you know, I've looked at Japanese swords, and typically the handle is straight with special cloth or some sort of wrap on it for grip. But it's typically just straight tube. That's it. Well, the Opinel has a bulge, so I've got to get rid of that and straighten that up. So that's what I'd have to do there, and I've got to keep it round, so I've got to make it smaller all the way around. The furthest in I can go will be the size of the ferrule. This has got to go. I'm really worried about that tip, but I have an idea in my head. My nifty 650 Opinel Tulul. If you saw my video on Opinel issues and dealing with handle problems, I got this idea from a video I saw. Pretty handy. So yeah, we have the basics now. We have the basic blade shape that we want, just needs to be cleaned up and whatever. And we have that straightish handle, which is more Japanese style. No fancy things on it except maybe some patterning or something. Now I've got to figure out how long I want the handle and what I'm going to do with it after that. And then there's the blade tip depth thing. And having looked at it, is right here where this blade has that, you can see it there, that angle. If I reduce this a little bit more, it's actually hitting the ferrule, the inner ferrule. So when you close it, this catches that ferrule and stops it, just like that. So, Opinel opening. If I file that down a touch more, it'll drop the blade a little bit further. And I did look to see if it affects the closing. It's the other side that the swivel ferrule locks onto. So we should be good. We're about to find out. Okay, you can see here now, when I open it, I've reduced that quite a lot. Now when I close, the tip doesn't stick out anymore. Let's see if it affects the locking mechanism. We might be starting this whole project again. So there we are now. Now I'm going to open the blade and lock it. We have a problem. Oh boy. How do we fix that? A big oops. How do I fix that? Okay, after a couple of hours of taking a nap and thinking about it, I can't come up with a fix for that looseness on the lock. But I've been thinking about it, and I think that although you have that movement, it doesn't go any further. I can't take it further than that. The blade's not going to come down on your hand. You're just going to have that forward movement. And most of the stuff you do, it's away from you. You don't pull with the knife. So I think it's going to be okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not happy. These knives I'm making, for me, are fun projects, trying out stuff, learning the hard way. And I was thinking about it, and I just realized that I watched a video where this happened as well to somebody. And I'm trying to remember, I remember who. I think it was Blackie Thomas. He had done a double blade mod where he had a saw, I think it was a saw and a blade that he put together. And he had that same issue with the blades here. I did the same thing he did. And he had that movement on it. He said it didn't affect the knife, the use of the knife. It worked just fine. But he said he wanted to change that, to find a way around that. Him and me both do now. You would think I've learned from watching other people, but apparently I'm not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on with the handle. I'm going to finish it off and then brood about this when I'm all said and done. And we'll play a little bit more. At least we'll have a knife when we're done. It won't be perfect, but hey, it'll be mine. This really bothers me. I'm so upset about this. It's been a couple of days. I've been busy, work and whatnot, thinking about this. Just can't come up with a solution for it. So I've decided I'm just going to carry on with it. One of the reasons is, if I start a project, I got to finish it. Good or bad. Right now, this is not going as well as we hoped. I can still do a lot with it, and hopefully it'll turn out okay. I tried it out. I'll show you what I mean. I've got it in the open position. I have that flap of wood that I glued in there. But I've opened it up and I've locked it. And here you can see how much movement there is. Okay. I want to see how it works on a piece of wood if I'm cutting a piece of wood and just doing some work with it. So let's see what happens, if it affects that. Doesn't seem to move very much. And as far as doing things with it, of course I love these Opinel blades. It seems to work just fine. it is a safety thing. If for some reason you do that, it won't go any further than that. So I'm happy about that. I'm just not happy about the fact that it moves. It's really getting muggy here. It's overcast and hot, and I'm starting to sweat already, and I haven't done anything yet. So let's have at it. Let's work on the handle and see what we can come up with. Look, an Opinel tool for Opinels. Might as well use it. Hydrate. So there we have it. The tip is below, just, and you can see the whole nail neck now. So that's where I want to go there. Now I've got to decide, do I want to do anything with the handle besides leave it this way? Not only am I fighting this knife, I'm fighting the weather right now. It is so humid in here. Even outside in the shade, there's very little breeze. I think I'm going to have to go into the man cave and finish up on this. Okay, we're back in the man cave. I'm sweating so much that when I walked in the door, Mary was there to greet me, and she took one look and turned around and ran off. Let's get this done. I've stained the handle. You can see it here. And it's that colonial stain, the same that I used on my tadpole. Same thing. It brings out the grain. Look at that. Does a good job. Brought that out. Unfortunately, didn't think about this, but that's the glue marks on it there. And the stain doesn't penetrate the glue marks. So here we are here. And if you can see here, I was going to do an intricate pattern using my coal rosing tool. But then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put some hieroglyphics. I don't know, kind of Japanese looking things on here that looks like it's maybe a blessing or something like that. That's all I put on it. And I coal roasted it, and it looks hokey, but hey, the thought was there. Now we have to get into this blade. It is an American Tanto. Now I've just cut it off here, and on an American Tanto blade you have two cutting edges and actually 2 points. You got this point and this corner point, this edge here and this edge here. Now ideally the type of knife is probably more Scandyish grind rather than a total flat grind. Unfortunately, the Opinel is a flat grind. There's nothing I can do about that. So I'm going to leave that there, and then let me see if I can get an edge on here. And you can see it there. It's just right now, it's just flat. And ideally, I want that really nice point here, a really nice point here where the two edges come together. Here goes nothing. We're going to do that, and then basically we'd be done with it. We still have this issue. But as you saw when I cut the wood in that, is it an issue? What's the difference between using this and a friction folder? The chores would be the same. If you look at the Higo no Kami, their blade is actually a reverse Tanto. But it's a friction folder. It has, the lock is your finger. Here you don't have to use your finger. It locks. So what we have left to do is this blade. And the way things are going, things can only get better. Just hoping. Okay, I'm going to use my workshop portable bench sharpening kit. I'm used to it. I'm pretty comfortable with it. I know how it's meant to work. I'm going to do this a couple of hundred times on one side and a couple of hundred times on the other side. Okay, we're getting to where I want to be on the course. I've now got kind of an edge, okay, that needs to be cleaned up. I'm getting a nice point at the top and working on the bottom. So I'm going to need to use the fine now as long as I can and then go to stropping, and let's see what happens. Okay, I've gone both coarse and fine, and I've got a problem. I need to strop and see if I can get rid of some nicks on it. I don't want to say nicks, but there seems to be a nick on the edge, and I think I may have caught it with a file when trying to originally cut it and grind it down. So I'm just going to keep working away at that. Yeah, it's getting better, but it's still there. Let me try stropping. We did the heavy, we did the fine, and I've stropped it. Unfortunately, I've still got that neck there. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because the blade down here feels great. I want to see if I got this right as well on this guy here. We're going to catch that neck, I just know it. Wow. Huh. Yeah, I caught the neck there. So the rest of the blade is sharp. This part of the blade is okay except for that neck. Oh, we're having a good time here, George. Let me see if I got the front. And it seems to be okay. And it's cutting pretty good at bottom edge. And you can see there, you see that little, that's where the neck is. So I've got the 2 points that I wanted. I should be able to cut with the bottom blade into the, see there. Will it slice after the poke? Oh yeah. So it's pretty good for me. So there you have it there. I have to name everything I make. Just don't know what to get this one going. This one really beat me up. Here are some things. If I was to do this again, I would make a complete handle and then be careful where the tip is going to be. So the handle would actually have to be fatter with like a flare on the handle. Kind of like that idea. And if I did that, you'd keep that tip hidden and you wouldn't be able to fiddle down here. That's the only thing I think that would come out. I have a number 10 that I don't know what I want to do with. Thinking maybe I could do it on that one. Kind of sort of worked out, except for those little oopses. Closes up. No problem with the tip sticking out. So what do you call it? The Opinel American Tanto. Don't know. How about some suggestions in the comments? I'm struggling here, people. Can you see that? The horror. I want to go outside and carve something. I'm in the South 40 and it's cooled down. There's a breeze. Ha. Thank goodness. Anyway, I'm back at my outdoor table and I've got the Tanto. I just want to show you what the original 9 looked like. We'll compare it. I have one here. They both are carbon. So that's what it originally looked like and that's what it looks like now. Will it work when it's locked and not be an issue when I'm, I don't know, whittling? Let's check it out. I've actually still got my old stick that I worked on with the tadpole. This one seems to do pretty good. It's, that thin Opinel blade allows you to get some nice clean cuts. Slicing in there fine, no problem there. Got that stop cut going. I didn't do it very deep, so let me do that. This is not an ideal blade, but hey, kind of like the idea of the points on it to get inside those little pieces right here. And that seems to work. Huh. Maybe I'm finally getting the sharpening thing close to where it should be. Well, kinda. It's doing okay. Maybe I was all in distress for nothing. No, that's what I do. I panic. Worst case scenario. But I think I've figured out how to fix it, and that is you're going to have to put a different handle on or change where you're going to have that point on the handle. I didn't think about that when I cut it off. I didn't measure or anything. I just picked a length and said, there we go. Should have looked a little bit closer at it. Like a flare handle towards the back, you'll be able to get around that blade, the tip issue. There you go. Look at that. We can even whittle with it. So there you go. The little sticky that I've been working on. So like I said, didn't go as planned. Learned something. Now I know if I'm really thinking about just doing a whole series on these things of different blade shapes. And now that I've figured out that be careful where you put the tip, or what you do with the handle afterwards, makes a big difference, and then you won't mess up like you did here. And you can see, there it is there. Tanto blade, American Tanto. Didn't do a lot to the handle, just made it nice and round. Put a little nick in there so you can get your finger there, because we all know how hard it is to get an opal out if you get any swelling in the wood. My OP Whittler, American Tanto blade. And you can see have to be more careful with my projects. What can I say? Pay attention. Not like me. I didn't plan this. Well, I thought I did. I'd thought about it for a long time before I did it, but I didn't do the little things. So now I learned my lesson. Planning. Just saying. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. I've been working on my walking stick, doing some whittling on it, not a lot. Got some leather work I want to do. I really want to make a fixed blade leather sheath. A lot to learn there. It's not as easy as it looks. They make it look easy, but hey, if you do it wrong, same thing. You all be safe out there, especially with these sharp and shinies. You got to pay attention, even to the little details, Just saying. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.